A lot of the people who comment on my videos have asked for a Seven Swordsmen video, and since I typically make a habit out of listening to what my viewers want, here we are, a video talking about the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. Now, believe it or not, there's not a whole lot to say about these guys, and that's why I've put off doing a video about them for so long. While there's enough meat about Zabuza and Kisame to talk about each of them in depth, the rest of the 7 Swordsmen don't get the same treatment. Pretty much nothing is known about these guys, including the history of the group as a whole, so trying to figure out how to do a video about all of them is a little tricky. And to make matters worse, despite what the name of the group implies, there are more than 7 of these guys. There were never any more than 7 Mist Swordsmen at a given time, but the organization spans multiple generations, and as a result, the members that it consists of have changed over the course of Naruto's history. This means that at some point in time, at least, the organization has to have had plenty of members that the audience has never seen before, which makes it impossible for me to give you a biography of each of the group's members. However, I will not let that stop me from making this video since enough of you guys asked for it, so here's what I'm gonna do instead. Let me just break down everything I know about the group as a whole for you. So, first of all, one fun fact about the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist that doesn't really contribute to them in any way is the fact that most of them have a surname related in some way, shape, or form to a kind of produce. For example, Kushimaru Kurirare's last name means chestnut hail in Japanese, and Jinpachi Munashi's last name roughly translates to empty Asian pear tree in Japanese, so yeah, I think you get the idea. It's sort of similar to the whole vegetable name thing that Saiyans have going on in Dragon Ball. Anyway, I'm sure pretty much none of you care about that, so let me talk about what it meant to be a member of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. The organization didn't seem to serve any particular purpose, but I do know that the group was always made up of the Hidden Mist Village's 7 greatest swordsmen at any given time. As I mentioned earlier, it spanned multiple generations, so it's lasted quite a while, and this is likely due, at least partially, to the fact that the swords used by each of its members were passed down to whoever took their owner's place in the future. In other words, the swords used by the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist always remained the same, no matter who made up the group at the time they were being used. I assume that this led to many aspiring Hidden Mist Swordsmen aiming to become one of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist, not only because they would be given an honorable title, although that was most certainly part of it, but also because they would receive one of the 7 legendary blades if they succeeded. These swords are honestly serious business, and are quite possibly more legendary than the people who wielded them in the first place, which is without a doubt one of the reasons why the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist were so feared. Luckily for me, each of these 7 swords were given unique names, so I'll be able to easily list them off for you, and give you a summary of what each of the swords were capable of. Kubikiri Bocho, or Executioner's Blade, is a massive steel buster sword made in the shape of a butcher's knife with a semicircle near the top meant to be used for decapitating targets. The blade's most notable feature was its ability to repair any damage it had sustained by using the iron it had absorbed from the blood of those it had cut down. Samehada, or Shark Skin, is said to be the most powerful and most terrifying of the 7 great swords, and has the appearance of a massive club covered in the scales of a shark. Samehada's makeup means that, as opposed to other bladed weapons, it does not cut through the targets it strikes. Instead, the scales that line the blade shred whatever they come into contact with, but this isn't why the blade was famed to be so powerful. Samehada is, for some fucking reason, sentient, and it also has the ability to absorb chakra. An owner of Samehada can temporarily merge with the sword and add the absorbed chakra to their own, which greatly increases their power for a short length of time. Kiba, or Fangs, is a pair of twin swords that are fused with lightning release chakra in order to increase their cutting power. This reinforcement has led many people to claim that these are the sharpest swords in existence, though the claim hasn't really been backed up by anything. What's more fascinating than the swords themselves is the fact that they actually debuted in an anime-only filler episode, but were later adapted into the manga along with the person who first used them. I just thought that was really cool, because that sort of thing doesn't tend to happen a lot. Kabutowari, or the Helmet Splitter, is... well, it's not a sword, really. It's like an axe and a hammer combined together. But for some reason, the characters still call it a sword. Whatever. Anyways, Kabutowari is a sword made up of both a hammer and an axe conjoined together by a chain that, when used in conjunction with one another, are said to be capable of breaking through any defense. Nuibari, or Sewing Needle, is a long sword shaped like a needle with a really long wire attached to the end of it. The purpose of the sword is to pierce through a series of targets before sewing those targets together, and it can even be used, if in the hands of someone skilled enough anyway, in a combination of different subsequent angles in order to create entire knots of corpses. It's really cool, and it's probably the most creative of the 7 mist swords. Hiramekare is a two-handed sword capable of absorbing and storing its owner's chakra, which it can use to transform into a variety of different shapes. It has been shown with a hammer form, a longsword form, and a twin sword form, though it is possible that it might be able to transform into more than just these. Last, but certainly not least, is Shibuki, or Splash, which is a sword covered entirely in paper bombs on one side. This is by far the dumbest of the 7 swords, but it's still really cool. It has a certain charm to it, but it's just so ridiculous that, whatever, you get the point. As of now, the 7 ninja swordsmen have disbanded, so we're not going to see any more of them in action. And all 7 of them have only fought in conjunction with one another on 2 separate occasions. Once against the Hidden Leaf before many of them were killed by Might Dai after he unleashed the 8th gate, and once during the 4th Shinobi World War when they were reanimated by Kabuto. Sadly, this is likely all we're going to see of these guys in combat, and likely all we're going to see of these guys in general, since Kishimoto didn't do a whole lot to flesh out the character of each of its members. But oh well. Like I said before, there's not a whole lot to say about anybody who isn't Zabuza or Kasame, and I'll be sure to break those 2 down in a future series I plan on doing where I dissect characters from various anime. But that's for another day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. You know the drill by now. If you're new here, make sure to leave a like or subscribe, and leave any video ideas you have for me in the comments below, and if I like them enough, I'll make sure to get to them in the future. Talk to you later, everybody. Swaikage out. Bye.